Hey everybody, it's me Albatross. I want to talk about something. A documentary came out on Netflix recently about a woman who went missing on her cruise with her family all the way back in 1998. It was on a Royal Caribbean cruise line. Um, the islands that the Royal Caribbean cruise line goes to, I have recently found out, are the islands belonging to the Netherlands royal family or country, whatever, their government. They own a lot of the islands, or at least they own the islands that Amy Bradley went missing on. Crap. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it right. Curaçao. I don't know. I can't pronounce it. I'm just gonna call it Curaçao for now. But it's on their cruise. They had, like, I don't know if, to those of you who have never been on a cruise, I'll break it down for you how it goes. Usually when you leave port, you're out at sea for like a couple days until you get down to those islands, depending on wherever you depart from. It might be a day, it might be 2 days. You're just out at sea. And then, like, most cruises last at least 7 days. And when, like, by the second or third day, when you've gotten down into the islands, you go to these different ports. And they're never at these ports for longer than, like, a day at the most. Usually it's only, like, 6 or 7 hours. And they go to a different one every day until the cruise is over. Now, the case with Amy Bradley and her family, the cruise they were on, the first stop was Aruba. They went to Aruba, leave Aruba, and then the next island they arrive at is Curaçao, where there's a lot of strange things about this story. Now, a lot of theories about Amy, and to me there's really only one that's actually plausible, that she was smuggled off that ship. For sure. Like, I cannot see it any other way. It'd be one thing if she had went missing while they were, like, out at sea, in the middle of the ocean, right? You could definitely make that argument that she'd fallen overboard, jumped overboard, pushed overboard. You could definitely make that argument. But where she vanished, land was within sight. It was, like, first thing in the morning. And yeah, I've actually been on a cruise before. I've been on a couple of them. And by that time of morning, like, I know maybe some people would be sleeping in because it's vacation. But believe it or not, most people are getting up because they're about to dock at an island. They're about to get off the boat and go explore the island. So most people are getting up. Staff's up. Most people are up and awake. Things are definitely going on by that time of morning for the day. So there should have definitely been a witness if she had fallen, pushed, jumped. And even if there was no witness, guys, the guy who, I don't know, he wasn't the mayor of the island. He was like head of, like, the police on the island or something like that. He was in the documentary. And he explained to us, he had lived on that island his whole life. And he said that, like, there was no way, if she had, like, fallen off that boat or was pushed or jumped, she would have washed up on shore because of the way their currents, the currents work and everything. He said, and, like, sharks don't, like, eat everything. Like, something, and I can vouch for that they don't. Like, something would have been left behind. Whether it be a piece of bloody clothing, an arm, like, there would have been something left behind of her. Something. And even if they had, like, for some weird reason they couldn't have found anything of her that day, eventually something of her would have washed up on shore. Something would have. Like, why do you think when people commit murders that they just don't automatically go and toss the body in the ocean? Or why do you think they go through all the trouble of tying these dead bodies to, like, bricks and stuff like that? Because it is common knowledge. Like, you can't just do that. Just throw a body in the ocean. It will wash up somewhere eventually. Like, rest assured, like, that's not a good way to get rid of a body. So with that being said, I feel like, and this is just my speculation, I can comfortably, like, disclude that notion. Like I said, I've been on a cruise before, and you would really, really have to be, like, I do not see how anyone could accidentally fall. She either, if that was the case, she would have either willingly jumped or would have been pushed. Like, there's no accidentally falling off any of those boats. Do you guys have any idea how high those railings are? Like, she would have really had to have been trying. And listen, I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say about this whole situation. I want to talk about this for a minute, and then I'll tell you guys about my own weird experiences on like, I went on a Royal Caribbean cruise, actually. I swear to God. No, I doubt it was the same ship she went on. They have many ships. But it was only a couple years, like, after she went missing that I went on my cruise, so there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on those cruise boats. And I'll get into that in a few minutes. But let's get back to Amy's story, because her story has weighed so heavy on my heart. Like, before I even watched the documentary, like, when I just heard the small little details about her story, like, it just like hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't know if it's because I've been on the same cruise line as her before, or what, but there's just, or, you know what, to be honest, when I did finally watch the documentary and I saw some footage of Amy, some pictures of her, it's like, I feel like she's like the type of girl that we've all known and have grown up with. I think we've all known, like, a girl kind of like Amy, you know? You know, the type of chick that just doesn't, like, identify with the same labels as everybody else. And I'm not even trust me, I am not talking about her sexuality. I think Netflix really dropped the ball when they even, like, spent time on that. Like, that really had nothing to do with anything. Like, I agree with her brother. Like, what the fuck, Netflix? Why even waste time and energy on that? But that's neither here nor there. What I mean when I say that is, like, seemed to me, she was just her own person. Like, she just wore what she wanted to wear, did her hair like she wanted to wear. Like, she, like, just exuded so much energy, and, like, I don't know, like, I just met lots of girls that remind me of her that, like, I don't know, just something really struck me to my core about this story, like, and the more and more I learn and hear about her case, and after looking at the interviews of, like, the cruise director and, like, all of that, like, there was something huge going on in behind the scenes. They're and, like, listen, this is just my perspective. Okay, this is my perspective. I wasn't there. I don't know them. I'm just saying from the outside looking in. This doesn't seem like your typical one dude seeing a girl, getting obsessed with her, and then, like, abducting her. Like, no, this was something else, for sure. First of all, her photo missing. Now, for those of you who haven't been on a cruise, let me explain something. They do have that, like, where you can get your picture taken on the cruise, like a formal picture taken with your family and things like that. It's like a standard on any cruise boat. And I don't know about the cruise they went on, but I know the cruise that I went on, it was like there was a particular night that everybody wanted to get their picture done. It was a little strange in my opinion, because it was like the night before we were about to, like, dock at an island, and you see like hundreds of people all dressed up in their best with their families, all in a big, giant, long line that stretched across the boat to get their formal picture done. And the people I was with, they were like, should we do that? I'm like, hell no, I ain't going to sit there and wait in that line. Just get my picture done. We'll take our own picture. So, like, but, back in the 90s, that makes a little bit more sense, right? Like, we don't have those good selfie phones like we do now. But they still do that on cruises. And, like, they keep your picture. They keep a copy of your picture. And you go into those photo galleries and they've got everyone's picture just like up on the wall for everyone to see. And the fact that her picture was missing, like, there was definitely, she was targeted. Like, I don't even know how you could make any other argument. There's no reason why one solo picture of one member of your family would be missing. There's no reason. There was someone who spotted her, or who saw her picture, got it, targeted her, for whatever reason. And I kind of had my own red flags go off that I don't even know if her family's even potentially thought of. But I wanted to bring something up. When I saw the interview with her brother, and he explained how the cruise came about to begin with, a big red flag shot up in my head. Because most people who go on a cruise plan it, buy their tickets and things like that. They specifically want to go on a cruise. But this wasn't really the case with this family. Amy's parents, or Amy's father, won the cruise at his job. Of all places, right? At his job. It was like an incentive, I guess. Like his dad, he was either like an insurance salesman, or he worked for an insurance sales company of some kind. And it was like an incentive. And they apparently did their good job, and they won their cruise. That was a huge red flag for me. And I'm not going to lie, because, like, I mean, yes, like, there are jobs who do that, who will give, like, people incentives, and, like, especially if it's, like, a good paying job like that, like, from what it sounds like he had. But then another red flag in my head go up, because it wasn't just, like, a simple, like, contest or anything, like, because, like, for one person to win, like, the boss of the company was going on that same cruise. And I don't know, I didn't hear how many people in the company went on the cruise. If it was just their family and the boss, I don't know. I didn't hear all that. But either way, it's still a huge thing. I'm like, well, that's weird. It's like, what an odd coincidence that they would win a cruise that they didn't plan, and then one of their family members would go missing on that cruise. But whatever, I mean, I'm sure stranger things have happened. But here's what really stuck out in my head. And I know I'm going to sound super cold when I say this. But I'm coming from a place where I've had about like 100 bosses in my lifetime, okay? Now, they're all on a cruise, right? And I guess that's not that weird in it of itself, that the boss would be there too, on the same cruise that his employee won a, trip to. And also that the brother said that it was supposed to be just the parents, but they managed and were able for their kids to come along too. Ain't that a little weird? It's a little weird. That was another red flag. But the biggest red flag of all, and like I said, this is where you might think I'm cold. I don't really care. Because, I've lived life for a little while. I mean, I've had many bosses. The fact that when she does go missing at Caraco, and they get off the boat, and they're waiting for, like, the Coast Guard or whoever to do the water search and everything, their boss gets off the boat with them, and is with them. And I don't even think the family Like, maybe, I mean, like I said, I don't know this boss, I don't know the family. So maybe there's something I don't know. But I was thinking, don't you guys think it's odd that your boss stayed on the island with you? Like, he literally didn't get back on the boat. He stayed with them. And they all watched the boat leave. That's weird. Now, and a lot of people be like, oh my gosh, Albatross, you're so cold. He cared about them, you know? It's not just about work, you know? Maybe he just honestly cared about this family. And fair enough, okay? Fair enough. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Maybe he was honestly concerned about this family. I don't know. Weirder things have happened. I personally have never in my life had a boss that ever cared about any of his workers, good person or not. Not enough to, but you know, whatever. You know, there are good people. I'm not trying to say every boss is a mean tyrant. Maybe he was a good person. But here was the biggest red flag in my head of all. Day 6 of the cruise, and it's about 3 or 4 days she's been missing so far. They've been looking for her. They're panicking. They're hysterical. They can't find her. Their boss has been with them this whole time. Their boss suggests to them that they go home to be with their family before the boat like docked at the last place. Because he thought, you know, that's going to be a lot for you guys with all the press and all that. Why don't you guys just go home and be with your family? Now, they were in no position to fully, in my opinion, understand or to pick up on it. Even now, I don't think. I mean, like, you gotta understand, this family's been frozen in amber for like 27 years. It was like their whole lives just stopped that day. And ever since, it's like that's been their lives, is looking for their daughter. Their whole life stopped that day. So, have they been able to think clearly the past 27 years? I don't know, but like, as someone from the outside looking in, it seems to me that at some point I would be a little suspicious about the whole situation from beginning to end. Like, there's no coincidences, in my opinion. There's no coincidences. And I'm looking at myself, like, if I was with a family who's looking for their daughter, I think the last thing I would suggest would be for them to go home to be with their other family, the rest of their family. That'd be, you know what I mean? I'd be like, no, don't give up. Like the longer you wait to look for her, the less likely you are to find her. I don't know why no one told them that. Like, a lot of people don't understand that like, because it's not every day someone you love goes missing. But like, that is like a big thing. Like, when you're investigating a missing person case, time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. The longer the time goes by, the less likely it is you're ever going to be, especially if it's human trafficking. Because in human trafficking, and like, that was another thing with this documentary, that I don't think a lot of people quite understand how it works. Because I see these questions, like, well, because like, there's been a lot of people who have seen her over the years, in different places, in very many places. And I hear a lot of people saying, well, why would they have seen her in San Francisco if she was taken in Caraco? And well, oh my God, it's the way it works. They consider these women, these children, the sex trafficking victims, they consider them product. To the traffickers, these people are product to them. And they know they got to keep this product moving from city to city, to location to location. They got to keep them moving. And they do. Trafficking victims never stay in one place for that long. Never. That's why my heart was breaking for these people, that these eyewitnesses waited so long to tell them. It's like, of course you're not going to find her there now. Like, There needs to be more awareness on this. There needs to be more awareness on this. Because there are still too many people who don't understand. There are still too many people who are literally telling this family, well, if she wanted to leave, it sounds like she could have just left at some point over 27 years. It's like they obviously don't know how this works. And let me point something out, because I saw the interview her brother did, and he said a lot of stuff that was not included in that documentary that should have been. Okay? One of the strange things was while they were on the boat, Amy had met these two ladies who were like dressed in uniform, and she had like an hour conversation. I don't know if it was the day she went missing or the day before, but she had like an hour conversation with these two women. Come to find out, the two women on the boat were Scientologists, right? Well, fast forward to when she's been missing for like a few months or maybe even a year. Actually, I don't know. I don't even think she had been missing that long, because like her family was such a mess that they wanted a priest or someone to like talk them through all this. And somehow or the other, these Scientologists, find them. And they go over. And at first it seems like they're actually trying to like, comfort this family and whatnot. But then they start asking this family about very personal things. So, like, first, it was a red flag to me. They were like, tell us what you're grateful that you still have. And then they all answer. They're distraught. They don't know. And then they ask the family, tell us little things about Amy. Like, what kind of cigarettes did she smoke? What kind of beer did she like to drink? Like very odd things that, like, you wouldn't ask to comfort. I wouldn't think when you're trying to comfort the family. I mean, I personally wouldn't think. And I think they're right. I think these people were very much trying to gather information about Amy. And I already know why. It's a tactic they use. They gather as much personal information as possible. That way, if Amy is like trying to run away or trying to contact her family or anything, these people will tell her, well, we know your family. We know where they live. We know where they go to church. We know where they work. We know where they go grocery shopping every week. We know who they talk to on the phone. So if you even think about trying to call them, you even think about trying to run away, we'll kill them all. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but to those trolls out there, they might not love their family like that. But speaking for me, I'd be willing to do whatever they said to keep my family safe. I would. Because I actually love my family. I would do anything for my family. So I don't really understand what people think Amy herself was supposed to do. Plus, at some point, after 27 years, it gets to the point where, haven't you ever heard of those people in prison for so long that once they get out, they look for ways to go back because they just were so used to living that way that they don't even know how to live normal life anymore. And in prisons, it's not even as restrictive as like sex trafficking victims are restricted. So I can't imagine. At this point, 27 years later, if Amy did have access to a phone, do you really think that like she, after 27 years of being drugged, being raped, being beaten, do you really think that she's in like thinking the way she did 27 years ago? That's why time is such of the essence. And I think that cruise director ought to be investigated. Like whoa. When he said, we're not going to stop 2,000 people from their vacation because one girl goes missing, I couldn't believe that. Because in my mind, I'm like, well, if that is the case, you ought to put a disclaimer before people go on these cruises. I'm sure the rest of your passengers would have liked to know that. Hey, listen, anyone you love goes missing while you're on vacation, it's on you. We're not stopping nothing. I wonder, you know what I mean? That should have been a disclaimer. In fact, there's lots that should be disclaimers about cruises. First of all, when you're on foreign water or international waters like that, like, you really are in the wild, wild west. Like, if you wanted to hurt somebody, you wanted to murder somebody, you wanted to rape somebody, you wanted to do any of that, like that woman said in the documentary, go on a cruise. It'd be the best way to get away with it. Because when the FBI, they found their number one suspect. They still believe to this day that one guy named Yellow had something to do with it. Which I personally believe he did as well, but I don't think it was just him. I think he was just a part of it. But you notice that the FBI, they couldn't detain him. The only thing they could do was just ask him questions. That's it. He could have sat there and admitted to doing something, and they couldn't have done anything. He was not a U.S. citizen. They were in international water. Now, if he had decided to travel to the United States or something, maybe they could. But at that point, there was nothing the FBI could have done. Nothing. And you know, this is how you know that this is something really huge, and it's connected. And it's all connected because, like, there are so many parallels right now. There's so many parallels. Because, for example, we find out from the brother in his interview that the FBI, there were so many eyewitnesses that the FBI didn't interview. Like, there was so much that they could have done and didn't do. And he said that just a couple weeks ago, 27 years later, the FBI finally basically admits to this family that they never believed that she left the room. They always believed that she either jumped or fell. They basically told him that. Despite all these years of eyewitnesses, despite the FBI themselves verifying that she is that woman in that photo of that woman that we see on the bottom right of the corner, 7 years after she went missing. They analyzed it. They said that there was like a 90-something% chance that was her. The chin, the eyes, the forehead, the teeth, the mouth, the ears, like the nose, like that's her. And another thing that, let's clear this up. When she goes missing, the boat is in the port waiting to dock. Land is within sight. It's morning. People are like doing their morning exercises, getting dressed, eating breakfast, getting ready. Like, there's no way she could, in my opinion, that she could have jumped or fell off without somebody hearing or saying something. There's just no way. Then B. This made me cry. Her mother begged them to not let people off the boat yet. Begged them. Begged them. They were so cold. They were so cold, in my opinion. I don't know how there's a chance that they weren't involved. Because, to be honest, if they weren't, let's say they weren't involved, they actually knew nothing about it, etc., etc., it wouldn't have hurt them. It wouldn't have hurt anybody. It wouldn't have hurt anybody to do a full boat search before they opened those doors. They had to do it 2 days later anyway. They knew they would have had to. But they knew that there was less chance they'd actually find her tied up or somewhere in the boat if they put it off and put it off. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. That's my speculation. I don't really, see it any other way. Because in my opinion, that's like the first thing you do when someone is missing. Don't forget, yeah, you have 2,000 people that paid a lot of money. But don't forget, this family did too. So did they. Why are they any less important than anyone else? I know I would have gone around, knocked on every door, and be like, you better keep your family close because they're not going to care or do anything to help you. Like, I would have told everybody I could have. Because if they wouldn't do that for Amy, they wouldn't have done that for anybody. And if I was a passenger on that boat, I would have been quite upset that that was the viewpoint. It was like, no matter who you are on this boat, none of you are important enough to find whoever's missing that you care about. So, yeah, in my opinion, the boat, the crew, they're all involved. To be honest, like, I can't think of anything quite better than a cruise to smuggle people, drugs, anything. Like, think about it. It's like, it's a beautiful gig. Like, pull up to all these ports all the time. No questions asked. So much chaos. You're shoveling people on and off the boat like cattle. And so much stuff can get missed amongst all that. And I really pondered this, and I think there are at least, if she was smuggled off that boat, in my opinion she was, there was 2 ways they could have done it. I mean, I'm sure there was more, but the 2 ways I could find the most likely happened is A, she was smuggled through wherever the food comes in and out, because that would be something that they would definitely have to restock up on with, like, you know, like perishable foods and like milks and like eggs and things that go bad quick. Or she somehow was like smuggled out when they were like emptying the waste of the boat, like, you know, the bio waste. I mean, I'm not saying like she was smuggled in with the bio waste. I'm just saying like they could have, like, I don't know, put her, I don't know. But like the brother said, there was activity going on the other side of the boat, on the water side of the boat. And they were probably like, that's probably what they were doing, like emptying the waste. Because they can't just like dump out a bunch of poop and toilet chemicals into the ocean. Like, they gotta like do that at the port. So I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like those seem like the 2 ways that are most likely to have happened to me, in my opinion. Like, I've been trying to think, like, what else do they take on and off a boat that they could easily smuggle a person? I don't know, that seems the most likely to me. But they also claim that they were not able to, like, the security footage where they monitor the sides of the boat, they said that they only monitor it, that it wasn't recorded. Well, even if that's the case, do you not have someone watching that live feed all the time? Wouldn't if someone saw her fall or jump or be pushed off the boat? And plus, I find that bullcrap. I think they have cameras all over that boat. Because like I said, I went on a cruise, a Royal Caribbean cruise at that, just a couple years after this whole situation went down. There was cameras all over my boat, and I don't think I was on the same boat she was, but like, it wasn't that long after, and like there was cameras all over the boat I went on. Like, in fact, I think I remember cameras everywhere except for like the private quarters. So I mean, I feel like it was something they could have done, or at least tried to do. The family doesn't even seem like to this day that they know if that could have been done or not, because these cruise people, the staff, were so ignorant about it. Like, that's what I don't understand. It's like, either you hire a bunch of sociopaths who do not care about human life, or you hire people who are involved. I don't really see it any other way. I really don't. But you know what's funny? It's like, this documentary was released just a few weeks back, right? Well, about a week ago, I see like a news article from down in the Caribbean that said, a jawbone washed on shore, a jawbone washed on shore. It could be Amy Bradley's jawbone. Like, 27 years later. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, just trying to, like, make people think that's exactly what happened. Like, sorry, I don't believe that. I wasn't there. No, I don't know anything about the life. I know they tried to make it sound like she was this depressed lesbian, but the way her family talked, the way she looked in the footage, She seemed like a very happy girl with so much going for her. She had her own house. She had a job. She just finished college. Like, what world do we live in where we think someone that happy, who has that much going for them, would just do that to themselves? Like, and I would say, like, this whole situation, this is why the CIA and the FBI need to be defunded and dismantled immediately. It's because it's a pattern you see in these situations. Whenever it's about missing people, especially, it always seems like the FBI and the CIA always half-ass it. Always. Like, in every one of these situations, it's always like there's witnesses that they don't interview, options they don't consider. Like, there's just, like, it just doesn't even make sense a lot of times. Especially when you consider, a lot of people say, oh, that's the FBI. You can't hide from the FBI. They're going to get you. Except for when you go missing, it seems. Except for when human trafficking is involved, it seems like. It seems like when human trafficking is involved, the FBI and the CIA are the only ones left on Earth who still don't believe it happens. That, like, I'm dead serious. They literally gaslight and act like it doesn't even happen. And I'm sure that worked beautifully back in 1998. But that shit don't work anymore. We all know there's a problem. But yeah, another thing that they also didn't say in the documentary that we learned from her brother in the interview was that before he and his mom even knew she was missing, they were still asleep. Only the dad was looking for her at this point, and he had not reported it to anybody yet. At this point, he probably just thought she went off to, I don't know, maybe go do a jog or something, and he was just trying to find her. And he gets back to the room after 40 minutes of looking, and lo and behold, the head of security just happens to be right outside their door. Maybe that doesn't seem like a big deal to you all, but these cruise ships are massive. They hold anywhere between like thousands to 2,000s of people. Like, they are like a city, like, in itself. Like, there are so many cabins, so many floors of cabins, staterooms, whatnot. The odds are very, very slim that the head of security just happened to be outside her door right when she went missing. So, yes, that was very odd, I think. Because I've been on a cruise before, and I've been on like 2 cruises, and I never even once met the head of security, let alone saw him anywhere near my cabin or staterooms, ever. So that is very odd. Very odd. And I don't typically believe in coincidences anyway, but in this case, there are so damn many of them. Why else would just her photo, out of all the portraits they took of their family the night before or whenever they took them, why only her photo was missing? And it was hanging on the wall for people to see. Anyone who went into that photo gallery, like, let's say human trafficker was on that boat, they're like, okay, let's see. So-and-so is looking for a 20-some-year-old girl with short hair, like green eyes, brownish hair, in shape, all these things that describe Amy Bradley to a T. Maybe even the little details like the eye disorder that she has, where one of her eyes is shaped slightly differently. Maybe that was even required or being looked for. Like, when people are trafficking, they look for specific people, especially in these situations. Like, they're about to get off the boat in like an hour or two. Like, it sounds like, to me, it was a little bit sloppy in a way. Like, this was a little bit rushed. Like, they needed someone who looked a certain way at the last minute. They'd go to the photo gallery store, see her picture, find out where she's staying, and all this stuff, find her via camera or wherever, see her in the nightclub dancing with that yellow guy. Bam. They found their girl. All they got to do is just get to her before the boat, docks, so that they can get her to whoever is requesting her. Because, like, Traffickers, like, got this game down, like, to a T. They are so good at this and have such a system. Why do you think it's so hard to find these trafficking victims? Because they are so, like, this is like a perfect laid down system for them. So just in her situation, with all these things, weird things surrounding it, it does very much seem to me like an operation that was kind of rushed, a little bit sloppy, by people who are normally professionals, but they were in a situation where they were short something that they needed. They were in need of a certain someone who looked a certain way, and they found that in Amy. Like, it seems to me like she was very much targeted. Like, this was not just a random occurrence. Like, let me just find the first person. No, she was targeted. She was definitely targeted. And like I said, I'm not trying to open any wounds for the family or anything. But from the outside looking in, I don't believe in coincidences. And how you got the cruise, who was with you on the cruise, who stayed with you once this happened. I find it suspicious. And yeah, maybe you think, well, he just cares about us and he wants to make sure, help us find our baby girl. I don't see it that way. I see it as he's your boss. Like, I see it in a way, it's like, most people in that situation, most bosses would be like, look, let me know if there's anything you need. You and your family do what you got to do. And then he would have went back on the cruise. Like, why was he like... And I know they were so upset. Maybe they did need someone like that. But, like, I find it very strange he stayed behind with them. I do. I can't help it. He could have, like, maybe been like, look, I'm going to go back on the boat while you guys wait to find out about this. And I'll keep looking for, make sure maybe they don't, like, I don't know, see if they can wait a little longer before they leave. Because spoiler alert, they left right on time. They didn't even wait to see the conclusion of this body search or nothing. I don't know, just a lot that doesn't sound right about that boss guy. It just doesn't sound right about it. Like I said, what do I know? But at this point, what do you got to lose? I would look into it at least. I'd look into it at least. Sounds very suspicious and weird. I mean, just like how he got the cruise and all of it leading up to it and during it, and yeah, I don't know. That's what I think. Anyone out there watching this video, if you know how to get in touch with the Bradleys, Brad Bradley or his family, please give them my email address, albatrossairwaves@gmail.com. I would very much like to talk to him about this. I'm not going to be like those prick interviewers like that one guy who was like, oh, I don't want to spoil the series for you if you haven't seen it. Like, that was a disgusting thing to say to a guy whose sister has been missing for 27 years. That was so disgusting. Treating it like it's just a sensational story when this is his family. This is their family, someone they love. Like, gross. This is not about entertainment. Like, that was gross. I didn't like hearing that. I didn't like it at all. So just please give him my contact information. I understand if they have trouble trusting anybody, especially after that I saw, and after what Netflix did to him. I get it. But, like, I feel like that there are so many better questions to be asked about the situation that could provide more clarity. I feel like everyone's just focusing on the things that, I don't want to say that they're not important, but like things that have already been focused on and went and exhausted. Like, I myself personally, like, I've got different questions to ask, like, but anyways, I mean, like, so if anyone knows how to get up with him, please give him my contact information. I'd like to talk to him. Oh, but yeah, before I go, I just wanted to tell you guys about the Royal Caribbean cruise I went on. The one that was just a few years after Amy disappeared. Now, it was very much the same type of setup. You know, you depart, you're on the sea for like a day or two before you make it to the islands. We went to, I think, some of the same islands they did, maybe. Like St. Thomas, Barbados, a couple places down there. There was like Grenada, where Yella was from. We went there too. No, I didn't see Amy. No, I know there was a lot of eyewitnesses who saw her on those islands like after she went missing, but no, if I did, I'm sorry, I don't remember. I was very young at the time. Oh my God, it makes me like think like I was very young when I went on this cruise. Like I want to say, I think I was like over 18, but if I was, it was just barely. Because I'm trying to remember the exact year. I know it was like the very early 2000s, like either like 2000 or 2002, one of those years. But anyways, so I was very young. I was very young. And our cruise director, and remember, me and my sister and my brother would like make fun of him because he was so, he kind of reminded me of the cruise director that was Amy's cruise director. Like he was just like, ugh. I don't know. He would definitely, it wouldn't surprise me if he was a sociopath. Like he was just like God. He was like everywhere and always had like a ton of energy. Wouldn't surprise me if he was on coke or something, because like we didn't understand it. It was like all the hours of the night, all the hours of the day, every single event, no matter where it was, he was like everywhere, like dancing and like he was a goofball. Like he was easy to make fun of. And one of the first two nights, you know, me and my sister, we were exploring the boat, you know, walking around, and I can't remember if it was either the very back of the ship or the very front of the ship. We found like a lot of these like cool little private places that it didn't seem like a lot of people even knew were there, you know, and like we would go there and like, you know, hide and talk and stuff. Well, one evening, and it was funny because our cruise boat had like a pool party too, like after the first day on the islands, like too. It was like, it was odd the how similar like our cruise was to this family's. But anyways, so me and my sister, right? It was late at night. We weren't ready for bed. We were out exploring, right? And we find our cruise director hiding in one of these little nooks or crannies. And there's like a woman down there with him. And he's like, they're like whispering. He's like stroking her hand. And me and my sister, they didn't see us. Me and my sister kind of look at each other and then quietly leave. And we're like, whoa, I can't remember what his name was, but whoever he was, you know, gets it on, you know, like we thought it was hilarious. Well, the next night we go to the same place. There's the cruise director again. This time, he's with like a male doing very much the same thing. And we look at each other like, that's weird. Like, he must like have like no, like, he must not have a type. I guess he's just, you know, kind of brushed it off too. But I look back on it. There was a lot of weird things, not just with him, but on the whole cruise that didn't seem quite right. Like, because there was also a nightclub on that cruise boat too, and it was like open like all through the night. Like, you know, I must not have been 18 yet, because it was like you had to be 18 to even go in there. I remember one night my sister is missing for a few minutes. We find her, but it took me a while. And I remember the last place I saw her was like on the top of the boat, in the hot tub, flirting. Oh my God, this is crazy. But believe it or not, her and our cruises, one of our cruises band members or staff, whatever he was flirting with her. So I remember she was with him, and I go to the one place I know on the boat's still open. And I find them two, and in this nightclub, there are like beds and stuff in there. Super weird. And her and him are like sitting on this bed. And I come up and I say to my sister, I'm like, Mom's looking for you. And the guy, he looks so mad at me. Like, he looked so mad that I came to get her. We didn't see him again after that. But it's like, you think about things, like, you don't think about it at the time, but then you look back and think about things. It's like, there's all these weird things that happen that, like, don't quite add up. I don't know. It's just, and like I said, a cruise would be the perfect place to hide stuff like that. No one would ever know. No one would ever know. But I'm just going to end it with this. I feel like if I know all this stuff, the FBI knows it too. And I think they did this family a disservice. I don't know if it was intentional or not. I mean, it sounds more intentional than not. I'm sorry, but like, just this indifference shown towards this girl and her family, not just by the staff of the cruise boat, but also by the FBI. That's the only way I can chalk it up to. It's just like this total indifference to what they're saying, to what the eyewitnesses were saying. Like, that's what it felt like to me. So, I'm going to leave with my opinion. I feel like the FBI knows more than what they're leading on. I feel like the cruise knows more than what they're leading on. I feel like they know exactly where she's at. And I feel like they know exactly what happened to her. And I also feel there's a very good chance she could still be alive. I mean, she'd be like in her early 50s by now or something. I mean, you could say, like, no, they wouldn't have any use for her anymore. They'd kill her. No, that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. Having sex with customers is not the only job in a sex trafficking industry. Believe it or not. There are way more jobs than that. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's been 27 years. But there's always hope. There's always hope. And I hope they find her. 27 years as a slave. And I think that's the big unspoken elephant in the room here. Is that it is slavery. It's slavery of the worst kind. And after 27 years, she's not a physical slave anymore. She's enslaved mentally. This is what I mean. There's not enough awareness about this. But, like, after 27 years of this, you can't honestly expect her to seek help for herself. Because there's a certain point that these trafficking victims have to, in order just for their own sanity, like, so they don't totally lose all hope, have to just, in a way, give up after a while. Because, like, you can see it happening. It's like, it'd be so disappointing and so heartbreaking for, like, let's say she tried to escape for 10 years. Imagine that. Trying to get help, trying to escape for 10 years. I can imagine it just, like, at what point you'd just be like, and especially if they punish her every time she did. At some point, she would stop and just be good for them so she wouldn't get beat or hurt or... There's not enough awareness about all this. There's not enough awareness about how dangerous this is. There's not enough awareness about how common this is. There is not enough awareness about the mentality, how minds are broken, how like they're enslaved. And it's like, how the fuck do you think slavery was a thing ever? Like, if people were just fighting for their self and their lives, like, there would have never been slavery. Like, I am sick of this small-minded bullshit. Like, it's so much more complicated. Read the Willie Lynch letter if you don't know what I'm talking about. But they break these people. They lie. They do whatever they have to do to get to get their victims in line. My heart goes out for this family. My heart goes out for Amy, wherever she's at. And I hope they find this poor girl. And I hope that cruise director, man, I'm telling you what. I am telling you what. If he's not involved, he should have been. He missed a good opportunity, I think. Because he is a psychopath. But anyways, I had to get all this out, guys. And also, I wanted to say one more thing. Just how oddly similar this all is to certain things that are going on. The fact that the FBI never even questioned the eyewitnesses. Like, never even, like, tried to, like... They didn't do their jobs, in my opinion. They didn't do their jobs. And it kind of reminds me how the FBI and the Department of Justice is acting now with the Ghislaine and Epstein trafficking victims. You notice, and you see, and I didn't know this till recently, I was really trying to be positive. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. But no, I'm not an idiot. Like, if you didn't even bother to talk to the victims, you're not investigating nothing. I wanted to believe that, like, Pam Bondi and the DOJ were investigating it all. But how can that even be true if they didn't even try to talk to any of the victims or survivors? They didn't even try to talk to them. They're talking to Ghislaine Maxwell? You talk to the criminal, not the victim? And then you turn around and tell everyone it's a hoax? It's disgusting. It really is. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And it's time, guys. It's time that we stop depending on our government. Like, I don't know what the solution is, but people don't just vanish like that. They don't just vanish. And it's time we hold these people accountable. Like, we either, like, defund and dismantle the CIA and FBI and start something that actually cares about people, or, like, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I'd like to know too, but it's not working, whatever it is. They don't care about people. They don't care about their citizens. And I'm getting tired of hearing them say, well, it didn't happen when I was there. It didn't happen when I was there. Like, I don't care. I don't care. You're in the position now to do something about it, whether you were there or not. You know, as disgusting as like all these authority figures act about it all, it does kind of give me a little bit of hope that people maybe will finally start to wake up and stop counting on them so much. That's the little silver lining I see about it all. But anyways, my heart goes out to this family. And if anyone can get in contact with them, please give them my email address, albatrossairwaves@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.